You said that the war was militarily won in Iran. What did you mean by that? You said the war was militarily won in Iran. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I think we won. We've knocked out their Navy, their Air Force. We've knocked out their anti-aircraft. We've knocked out everything. We're roaming free. From a military standpoint, all they're doing is clogging up the strait. But from a military standpoint, they're finished.
Trump's victory talk rings hollow as Iranian fire leaves US bases shattered and hundreds of millions in damage on the ground. Fresh satellite shots show Iran's revenge in stark detail. Runways ripped open, US hubs across the Gulf punched full of craters. Victoria Base burns in Baghdad while Diego Garcia moves from launchpad to potential target on Iran's strike map. 17 sites hit, 11 bases damaged. Al-Udeid and the Fifth Fleet now stand as scarred symbols of a bleeding superpower. Iran is no longer just signaling. It is dismantling the US footprint piece by piece across the region. With tens of thousands of US troops in range, Tehran's warning is blunt: nowhere is truly safe anymore. Amid a rapidly escalating US-Iran war, fresh analysis now shows Iranian strikes have inflicted major damage on bases used by American forces. Those early attacks alone are estimated to have cost roughly $800 million in damage to US-linked installations, according to reports cited by the BBC. Analysts say the worst destruction came in Iran's first week of retaliation, right after US-Israeli strikes began, when Tehran unleashed its most intense salvos. The strikes were not random. They were tightly coordinated and aimed at critical military infrastructure across US-led bases, from radar and air defense to command hubs. Experts warn that the full extent of the damage is still unclear, with limited access on the ground and the war still underway masking the real picture. And those headline figures may actually be conservative. Analysts caution they could underestimate the true scale of losses suffered by US forces so far. Satellite imagery now shows the same air bases being hit again and again, pointing to a deliberate, sustained targeting campaign rather than random strikes. Iran's strategy is clear. It is trying to grind down US operations in the region, not just stage one-off, symbolic retaliation for the cameras. The affected sites stretch across Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, putting multiple US-linked hubs under simultaneous pressure. That wide geographic spread underlines Iran's ability to strike across the region at once, forcing Washington and its allies to defend on several fronts. By most counts, Iran has now targeted and damaged at least 17 US sites in the region, 11 of them full-fledged military bases, marking a serious blow to the American footprint. Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the main US air hub in the Gulf, has come under repeated Iranian missile fire. Al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait was among the first to be hit as Iran launched its early retaliation waves. At Camp Arif Jan in Kuwait, an Iranian drone strike killed US personnel and damaged a key operations center. Al-Dhafra Air Base in the UAE suffered missile and drone strikes, leaving visible structural damage on the ground. Al-Minhad Air Base, also in the UAE, was hit in extended strike waves as Iran keeps up pressure on US operations. In Bahrain, the US Navy's Fifth Fleet headquarters saw its radar and base infrastructure struck in the early rounds of attacks. Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia was targeted by missiles that damaged US aircraft stationed there. Across Jordan, US-linked sites were hit, with air defense systems and a high-value radar reportedly coming under Iranian fire. Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean has been brought into the crosshairs, with Iran launching ballistic missiles that, this time, failed to hit the base. Iran's latest strikes have gone straight for the US shield, tearing into air defense assets in Jordan, the UAE, and other key points across the Middle East. One of the most significant blows landed on a high-value radar in Jordan, a core node supporting US and allied missile defense in the region. That single radar is estimated to be worth close to $485 million, a price tag that shows just how severe this hit really was. On top of that, additional attacks are believed to have caused around $310 million in damage to buildings, facilities, and other operational infrastructure. Taken together, these blows have disrupted logistics, communications, and readiness at several bases used by US forces, complicating Washington's ability to wage and sustain this war.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Wave 66 of Operation Promise of the Faithful 4, with the blessed code Yezera, peace be upon her, targeted objectives in the heart and south of the occupied territories, Tel Aviv, and American terrorist army bases in the region, was successfully executed with God's grace. In this wave, advanced solid and liquid fuel precision-guided systems, and multiple warheads, including Qaram Shabreka and Khyber Breaker, medium-range Qiyam and Zulfikar, and destruction drones were used. Following this wave, attacks on West Jerusalem, Haifa, and the Al-Zafra base of the American terrorist army in the region were successfully executed with God's grace. During the time of awaiting the arrival of Imam Mahdi, may God hasten his arrival, on the final morning of the blessed month of Ramadan, with the help of God Almighty and with the prayers of you, the faithful people, the 67th wave of the next Operation Promise of the Faithful 4, with the blessed code Ya Sahib al-Zaman, Lord of the Time, was dedicated to the late, esteemed, Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini, the spokesperson of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and his martyred brother. We opened the gates of fire and pain upon the hidden nests of American soldiers and their radar equipment in the region, and the military infrastructure of the occupied Palestinian territories, with a train of heavy missiles and a rain of drones. In this operational wave, the Al-Salem base, the Aerospace Drone Command, aircraft maintenance and repair hangars, helicopter equipment and support facilities, and the operations center of the U.S.-led coalition forces, early warning radar systems and missile defense, and the U.S. gathering point at Al-Wafa base, were precisely targeted with long-range and medium-range solid and liquid fuel systems, with God's grace. Furthermore, satellite, radar, and air defense centers of the Zionist regime in the center, south, and north of the occupied territories were effectively targeted. Today, in addition to the physical dismantling of the enemy, they have also become a symbol of internal collapse. The sudden withdrawal of the USS Gerald Ford, the U.S. Navy's aircraft carrier, from the battlefield, and the failure to provide military support to the tired and defeated American forces in West Asia exposed the hollowness of arrogant material power. This military giant that you boast about is nothing more than a paper and hollow facade for the Iranian armed forces. The change in the carrier's course towards the U.S. base and the attempt to avoid passing through the Bab el-Mandab Strait have raised the question in public opinion worldwide and in the region. Why should a $13 billion US, 11.2 billion euros, warship be afraid of a few $1,000 speedboats from the resistance forces? However, such a shaky and unstable situation has recently been created for another U.S. Navy ship, the USS Abraham Lincoln, in the Indian Ocean. The soldiers of Islam are eagerly awaiting delivering a hard slap to the American warship in the depths of the battlefield and are fully prepared to show the American Marines the naval surprises firsthand. The fate of Saddam awaits Trump and Netanyahu, the criminals. Our entry into the field is not a defeat. God has closed the path of defeat for us. Do you see more than two paths before us? Both paths are glorious for us. One is the path of martyrdom, whose glory is eternal, fixed, and immutable. And the other is the path of victory, which is a victory for us both. There is no power except with God, the exalted, the wise.
Damage to protective shelters and defenses appears to have been badly exposed during Iran's strikes, leaving key U.S. positions more vulnerable than planned. That degradation has forced Washington to pull in fresh defensive units from other theaters and rush them into the Middle East fight. Around 8,000 additional U.S. service members are now being deployed to reinforce ongoing operations, according to figures cited by Anadolu Agency. The war is already exacting a heavy price, with military casualties mounting alongside fast-rising operational and financial costs for the U.S. campaign. According to multiple reports, at least 13 American soldiers have been killed so far in this conflict with Iran, underscoring how quickly the human toll is climbing.